The story begins when a female student named Banka Sakura is chased by thugs. Sakura was chased by the thug because he was after the chip he had. Sakura refused to give it to him because the thug wouldn't be able to survive the fight. At the same time, a man named Teruto Kurabe gets involved in their affairs. Teruto was very upset because the food he had just bought was stepped on by the thug. In response to this, the thug then tried to attack him with a sharp weapon. However, the thug was immediately defeated because Teruto had terrible strength. Sakura apologized for involving him, and instead Sakura gave Teruto new food. Sakura thought that Teruto was very strong, but Teruto said he didn't really understand the power in the card he had when he realized the card was already in his hand. After realizing that Teruto is losing his memory, Sakura explains about the Build Divide, which is a card needed to live in a city ruled by a king. Everyone needs it to grant their wishes. Apart from giving him information, Sakura also taught Teruto how to fight. Cards with this mysterious power can summon the power to attack. Each card has different abilities from other cards. If the opponent's card is attacked, then the opponent will lose the opportunity to attack, whereas if the owner is attacked, it will reduce the number of life points. In the beginning, Sakura was the one who led the battle. Moreover, she also used cards to generate territory. As a result, Sakura becomes very strong and can maximize her unit's abilities. But when Teruto's turn came, he immediately remembered his goal of defeating the king. At the same time, Teruto regains all his strength so that Sakura is overwhelmed when fighting him. Even though Teruto's remaining points were lower than Sakura, in the end Teruto won the battle. After seeing Teruto's potential, Sakura decides to bet everything on Teruto so that Teruto can fight against challengers to get their key chip. Sakura said that key chips are very important. If the number of key chips is sufficient, then she can get the right to challenge the king. Even though he had remembered his destination, he still couldn't remember anything else. He didn't know where he lived and didn't know anything about the city area. While taking him to school, Sakura explained that they were currently in Neo Kyoto. Sakura also said that if their Build Divide gets stronger, then someone can enjoy a luxurious life in the city center. However, if the opposite happens, then they will be isolated in slum areas. This can happen because there is a figure who has united the will of the people, namely the current king whom they will challenge. When Teruto was in front of the school, he immediately met his teacher. Teruto makes his teacher worried, because Teruto is a transfer student who never attends. Sakura gets information about another challenger at the school. Hiyori is a middle school student and the challenger she is referring to. Hiyori came to Teruto because she already knew that he was also a challenger, therefore a fight between challengers was inevitable. In the fight, Hiyori bets one key chip, while Teruto bets all the key chips he has. In the midst of the battle, Hiyori awakens the Sky Fortress and then uses its power to attack Teruto. Next, Teruto uses the opportunity to destroy the attacking unit, then generates a region of darkness and summons a strong unit to attack. He repeated this strategy so that Hiyori no longer had a chance to attack, so that in the end Teruto could win the fight against Hiyori. After that, Sakura asked why he could bet all his key chips, even though if he lost the result would be all over. After losing to Teruto, Hiyori thought back to when she was in the outer district. She was always alone and had no one, but because she had a Build Divide card from then on, she practiced every day, until her abilities started to improve and she was able to leave the outer district. It's possible that Hiyori could live in the city center. That's why she was very sad when she was defeated by Teruto. Now Hiyori cannot realize her dream because she has lost her right to challenge the king. Even so, she decided to continue fighting. Hiyori then begged Teruto to become her student and said she would come with him wherever he went. Sakura created Teruto to challenge people in enemy hideouts. There was a team that deliberately reduced the risk by sharing their key chips. There were rumors that they kidnapped people to be used as guinea pigs. Therefore, Teruto did not hesitate to attack and planned to defeat them to collect lots of key chips from them. However, when they arrived at the hiding place, they were too late because someone had already defeated the enemy. Not wanting to remain silent, Teruto had to continue searching. At the same time, Teruto was suddenly dragged into the crowd, but luckily a man came to help him. Meanwhile, Sakura met someone to look for information. Then after investigating, it turned out that the person who had stolen the key chip was a man named Naomitsu Inju. He was the person who had helped Teruto and was currently with him. After visiting Teruto's place, Naomitsu immediately received a call from Sakura because Sakura had intended to bring Naomitsu and Teruto together in a Build Divide battle. The next day, Naomitsu fought Teruto, and as usual Teruto risked everything just for one fight. After the barrier was activated, they immediately called their respective units, and at the same time Sakura came to watch their fight. Then Teruto immediately attacks his unit and his opponent's life points. Then to respond, Naomitsu summons the Lion King and awakens the Endless Abyss region. Naomitsu summons Lionel to attack Teruto's units, then attacks again with increased strength. This causes Teruto to lose several of his units and his life points. That's when Teruto started fighting seriously. He used all the energy to awaken the region of darkness and activate the Destiny Casino ability. That way, his combat strength and remaining life can be balanced. But that didn't last long. Naomitsu immediately reactivated Lionel's abilities from the bottomless abyss. However, his efforts were in vain because Teruto was able to defeat him, and Teruto won the fight again. Teruto was entitled to get all the key chips that had been bet. Even though we have obtained a large number of key chips, we are still far from the target number. The scene then shifts to Hiyori asking Teruto to do special training. Even though Hiyori insists, Teruto still refuses and doesn't seem to really care. To get Teruto to comply with his wishes, Hiyori uses another method, namely teasing him by giving him his favorite food. Elsewhere, a man named Ishinom was ordered to use his power to meet Teruto. Meanwhile, Teruto, who is at school, is eating various types of bread given by Hiyori. He calls it special training, but actually Teruto just wants to eat it. Even so, Hiyori is still willing to do it because she believes that by imitating Teruto's personality, she will become as strong as him. Therefore, they continued their journey to look for other food nearby. While near the temple, Teruto received a challenge from a woman named Kika. Even though Kika doesn't look like he's a contender, he can bring it into the fight. To fight Kika, Teruto starts by summoning Gloom, while Kika uses a unit called Margaria. Kika starts the attack with the power of a lightning wizard, while Teruto summons decoys so he can defend himself well. However, it turns out that Kika has an unexpected ability. When the opponent draws a card, the opponent will get a gold coin to break the sin. This causes Teruto to remind him of someone. Even though he still doesn't know him, he feels he has a relationship with Kika, whereas Kika knows very well who the person he is fighting is. As the fight progresses, Kika's true identity is revealed. Kika is very difficult to beat because he is the real target. Kika is a king and the younger sister of Teruto. Even though their fight was won by Kika, at the last moment Kika withdrew his attack, so that in the fight there was no winner. Kika returned to his original place to wait for the right time and fight seriously against his older brother, while Teruto was depressed because he couldn't believe what had happened. Kika wanted to try repeating the game with Teruto, but because he wasn't allowed to go outside, he could only fight against a doll. The doll he fought was too easy to beat, so he felt bored, and said he wanted to play again with his brother. After hearing his wish, Higuma still forbade Kika. Apart from that, because Kika didn't look well, Higuma told him to rest. Higuma also said that his brother would become stronger, therefore Kika had to rest so he could face him in good condition. After fighting with his younger sister, Teruto looks gloomy and just spends his time fishing on the riverbank. Sakura and Hiyori told him to change his mood and hurry up to find the next challenger, but whatever they said, they both acted coldly and ignored him. Then Sakura asked Hiyori to accompany her. They also discussed finding ways to entertain Teruto. When Teruto was fishing, he met Ishinom. Even though Teruto didn't know her very well, he was a little affected by her words. Ishinom seemed to give encouragement to make Teruto enthusiastic about fighting again. Her words also made Teruto remember his past with his younger sister. The one where Teruto always never wins from his younger brother in the build divide game. No matter how many times he challenges the result, Teruto never wins from him. At that time, Ishinom said something to him. To be stronger than anyone else, he had to keep fighting, even though the person he was fighting was the king, and even so, his ambition to defeat the king rose again. Then, after that, Sakura and Hiyori came to Teruto. Initially, Sakura was worried because she had asked people to challenge Teruto, but because nothing happened, Sakura looked annoyed and threw away all the fish that had been caught by Teruto. One day, Naomitsu woke up in Sakura's house. Teruto took her because he found her unconscious in front of her tent. Then Naomitsu explained that he had lost the fight. He lost against a challenger he had been looking for. The new group at Neo Kyoto University was led by a professor named Kaizen Dairo. At first, he did not want to fight, but instead sent all his students to replace him. Then, after his student was defeated, he himself intervened. Kaizen only started fighting after observing many of the fights carried out by his student. It is also said that Kaizen often kidnaps people from outside areas. He does this to carry out human experiments. After listening to Naomitsu's explanation, the four of them decided to set out for revenge. Apart from taking revenge on Naomitsu, they can also get lots of chips if they succeed in defeating Kaizen. Then Teruto and his friend came pretending to be students. Initially, their activities were nothing suspicious. But not long after, Teruto realized that Sakura was being held captive by Kaizen. By chance, Hiyori accidentally pressed a mechanism to enter the basement. The place didn't look like a research institute at all, but rather a place for conducting human experiments. Kaizen told them that he had captured Sakura, and he threatened them to keep quiet and not fight. Even though they had been threatened, Teruto decided to keep going. Then when Teruto found Kaizen, he immediately challenged him to a fight. Teruto risked all the key chips he had, whereas Kaizen also used all his key chips. Kaizen underestimated him and thought that he would win the fight, and the fight between Teruto and Kaizen began. When Teruto used Bloom Kaizen, he immediately realized that he was an opponent to be wary of. Even so, Kaizen had a report and already had a way to defeat him. Then Kaizen attacks him using units equipped with firearms, while Teruto summons the Soul Gambler and throws his 6 cards into the graveyard. After that, Bloom revives all the strong units and uses darkness to eradicate the opponent. Kaizen apparently already knew this strategy, but in the end he was still superior and undefeated. This is my recap of the anime build divide part 2. If you haven't watched the previous part, please check it out in the video description below. After seeing Teruto's victory against Kaizen, Sakura and Hayuri plan to go to the sea. The place they want to visit is not a real ocean, but rather a place built with very sophisticated technology. Then, after arriving at her destination, Sakura met the idol, who would be performing at that place. But because Sakura didn't realize the idol was angry with her, she said Sakura was very annoying and then left. When they played on the beach, Sakura wanted to leave first because she felt cold. Then suddenly, the idol who had met Sakura appeared near them. The idol was named Maharu. Even though it looks amazing, there is one fan who speaks too much. This makes Maharu annoyed and decides to look for a new, calming atmosphere. After the concert ended, Maharu planned to buy the limited drinks, but it turned out that Sakura also planned to buy these drinks. Because they only had one order left, and neither of them wanted to budge, their fight could not be avoided. In the build divide battle, Sakura starts by summoning Iola. Meanwhile, Maharu uses a card to summon a skeleton servant. Maharu's first attack caused Sakura to lose 2 life points. Then, to respond to her attack, Sakura paralyzed Maharu's attack unit. After arguing about the idol, they believe in Sakura awakens the Iron Fortress area so she can attack with increased power. While the battle was going on, Maharu felt that Sakura's wailing seemed to be belittling her. While being angry, Maharu tried to resurrect the area called the Devil's Castle, then attacked with various strange units that looked disgusting. During the fight, the reason why Maharu doesn't like Sakura is also revealed. It turns out that all this time Sakura has had the look of someone who always looks down on her. Therefore, with uncontrollable anger, Maharu attacks Sakura continuously. Even though her life points were running low, Sakura remained calm because she had seen the path to victory. The next day, Teruto met the owner of the bakery. He visited him because since he was little, he often ate bread at that place. It is said that in the past, Teruto and his younger sister often stopped by that place. They helped make bread and then played cards while waiting for the bread to be ready to eat. Initially, Teruto was very good at playing cards. Teruto also always taught Kika, who didn't understand how to play, but this daily life didn't last long because they had to separate due to family reasons. Then, after visiting the bakery, Teruto meets Ishinome. Ishinome uses her powers to restore Teruto's memories. Teruto regains his memories of playing cards with his younger sister. At first, he often taught his little sister and then won the game. But after his little sister understood how to play, he had a really hard time facing her, because his little sister became very strong and hard to beat. Kika was very happy because he could beat his older sister, while Teruto looked annoyed and distanced himself from his younger sister. Kika came to Teruto and wanted to invite him to play again, while his older brother didn't want to play. Together with his younger sister, Kika repeatedly called his older sister's name, but Teruto no longer paid attention. Apart from that, because there was a problem with their parents, it wouldn't be long before the two of them separated. Before parting ways with her sister, Kika spoke again with Teruto. Then for the last time, Kika begged her sister to play again. Because he couldn't stand seeing his little sister always crying, Teruto would obey her to make Kika happy. But the next day, all the cards owned by Kika could not be found, because all his cards were hidden by Teruto. This is where Kika started to become stronger than anyone else, and in the end, he became king in the hope of being able to meet his older brother again. After gaining memories of his past, Teruto became more eager to challenge the king again. He wanted to meet his younger sister not because he hated her, but wanted to apologize for all the mistakes in the past. Before that, Teruto will fight against the strongest challenger, even though his opponent looks like a child but cannot be underestimated. Sakura said that they both needed one more key chip, so they could know how many battles they had won. The last challenger was named Mikhail Psyche. When he met Hayuri, he immediately liked her and would ask her out on a date if he was the winner. But Hayuri refused because she already liked someone. After that, the battle between the strongest challengers began. After the protective wall was activated, they both risked everything for one fight. Then Mikhail summoned a warrior-type unit and a snow lava domain, after which Mikhail attacked the Teruto unit with the upgraded cards. Mikhail's attack defeated Teruto's strongest unit. He also saved enough energy for the next attack. After being resurrected, Teruto used a card to increase his strength. Even though he only had 1 life left, he still had a way to penetrate his opponent's combat power. By using the method he believes in, Teruto attacks and wins the fight, Thus, he is entitled to get all the chips at stake.
手札を1枚リバーワートでグラナディカにあっ
ゾーンからベルティガを場に出します。
墓地のカードを2枚リムーブ。ブルームでプレイヤーにアタック。
Because the amount was sufficient, all the key chips he had immediately turned into keys that could be used to open the gate to the king's place. Teruto already had the opportunity to go to meet his younger sister, but he couldn't do it because the key to meeting the king was taken by Sakura. From the start, Sakura accompanied him because she intended to use the key to make her wish come true, namely to become a challenger to the king to reclaim her body. When Sakura faced the king, Teruto and his friends intended to stop her, while Sakura was serious in her fight against the king. He attacked Kika using a unit called Iola. Then when Kika had 3 life points remaining, Kika started to seriously use the strong cards he had. This resulted in Sakura losing all her units until she fell from her own area, but because she still had enough life points, Sakura thought that she could still survive. At the same time, Teruto and his friends had arrived in front of the king's place, but they couldn't do anything because they didn't have the key to enter it. In front of the gate, Teruto tried to find a way to enter. He had to stop the fight because he knew that the fight could not grant wishes. In the midst of the battle, Kika said that Sakura was a doll that would one day disappear by itself. Even though Sakura managed to defeat the king, she couldn't get a perfect body because from the start Sakura was born imperfect, and she was created from the remains of Kika. In another place, Teruto had run out of ways to meet the king. At that moment, Ishinome came to him. Apart from coming to him, he also offered to help him to get him to the king's place. That way Teruto and his friends could enter the fighting area, but when Teruto met Sakura, he couldn't stop the fight. In the end, they had to lose Sakura because she fought until the end until she disappeared due to being defeated by the king. In this way, Kika regained half of his body and gained an unlimited amount of power. After Sakura was defeated, Teruto challenged Kika to a fight, but this time the fight was not related to fighting for the throne but rather their fight as brothers. Before the final battle begins, the truth is told about the world they have been living in. In fact, Teruto was once a participant in the Build Divide battle, but after defeating the king, he woke up in a large facility located on the island of Kyoto. While Neo Kyoto is a virtual world that connects everyone who fell asleep in the outside world, when he was in the outside world, the only activity he did was play cards. So one day he decided to return to Neo Kyoto, because the previous king was about to carry out a criminal plan. Apart from that, he also saw the main server running the Neo Kyoto system. The main server charged everything to his younger sister. After Kika succeeded in defeating the king, his wish was not granted, but instead he was treated badly and inhumanely. To maintain the balance of Neo Kyoto, the system that forms life is charged to Kika's body. Therefore, to save his younger sister, Teruto went back to Neo Kyoto, but to reduce the burden on his memory, most of Teruto's memories could not be preserved. The second battle between Teruto and the king has begun. Kika looks very happy, because finally he can fight with Teruto. Then, when his turn comes, Teruto awakens the territory. Using the Soul Gambler unit, he activates a new territory called the Tower of Trials. After that, he increases the cards in his hand and the cards in his grave. Kika responded by summoning the Goddess of Justice and awakening a domain called the Cursed Stele. When his turn came again, Teruto used several cards at once, then used them to attack the unit and attack its owner. While calling another unit, Kika said that he really liked the battle with his brother. He hoped that this happiness would never end, but because no meeting was eternal, Kika said that this battle would be Teruto's last. When the winner is determined, Teruto will be one with himself. Even though Teruto's existence will disappear, Kika says he won't be lonely because his brother will always live inside him. At the last moment, Teruto apologized to Kika, not caring about his status as king. Teruto admitted that all this happened because of his fault. He didn't want to face it because he realized his weakness. Kika always thought that Teruto was very strong, but in reality Teruto was very weak. If only at that time he could face his weakness, something like this would never have happened. When he was little, Teruto was very jealous of his younger sister's talent. Teruto said that Kika was very strong. She could suppress her emotions and fight enemies alone, whereas he couldn't do the same, so since then he always ran away, but now he doesn't. Will run away again. For the sake of both of them, they will automatically accept all their weaknesses. After telling everything to his little sister, the 4 units that had just been summoned by Kika were immediately defeated because he was serious about facing Kika and was trying hard to find an opening to attack. When he saw his older brother being serious about fighting, Kika felt very happy. He remembered back to the times when they still got along. Because he was serious, Kika also took him seriously. He then summons units to be used as bait and then uses the ability to increase his strength points. During Teruto's turn, he raises units from the darkness to attack all of his sister's units and life points, so that Teruto has a chance to win in the next turn. However, it seemed that Kika could still survive. Kika continued to attack until the end so that their position became equal. But in the end, Teruto pulled out a card that he had been keeping. Kika's card, which he had previously hidden, turned out to be able to lead him to victory. After winning the battle, Teruto was going to return his sister's card, but he didn't have the chance because an unexpected situation occurred that separated everyone. Thank you very much for staying on this channel and watching our videos. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you up to date with our latest content. See you in the next video.